So you want to lose weight. The best thing that you can possibly do to enhance your fat loss journey is to implement intermittent fasting. First of all, my name is Himanshu. I help people transform their lives through fitness. You're clearly interested in that, so scroll down below, hit the subscribe and the post notification bell, and you'll never miss any of my uploads again. So what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is when you have a specific period of time where you eat and fast during a day or days. You can also do alternate day fasting and periodic fasting as well, where you eat normally for a certain number of days of the week and where you fast for a certain number of days of the week as well. The most common intermittent fasting split that people get into is the 18 to 16 hour fasting to eating window. This is the most common and the most easiest to get into as well. You can easily implement this by waking up and skipping breakfast first thing in the morning. For example, your intermittent fasting split may look like this. You'd wake up in the morning, skip breakfast and have something like black coffee or sparkling water or water which doesn't have any calories at all, and fast till 12 p.m. and pretty much just break your fast and start eating from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's your eating window, and then after that you repeat the same process over and over again. I recommend starting intermittent fasting in the middle of your fat loss journey, just because if you started too early you'd have too many calories to eat throughout the day and your eating window. When you first start your fat loss journey, you want to be focusing on a calorie deficit instead of starting intermittent fasting. Click the link down in the description below to watch my top 5 tips on how to lose fat. I recommend eating a protein rich diet in your eating window, and I recommend eating a protein rich meal at the end of your eating window, just because it's going to keep you full and satiated, and it's going to stop any of your cravings that you may have towards the later of the day. So we covered the basic split of 16 to 8 hours of intermittent fasting. Now let's step it up a little bit and talk about the next step, which is 20 hours to 4 hours fasting to eating window. This is definitely a step up from the previous split, so I recommend you guys work up to it. I recommend you guys at least do 2 to 3 weeks of 16 to 8 hours and then step it up to 20 to 4 hours, and this will be perfect for you for your fat loss journey, because the calories that you eat will be more restrictive each week. When you first start intermittent fasting, you'll feel an immense sense of hunger, which is very common at the first stages of intermittent fasting, but as you go on, it actually goes away. The third type of intermittent fasting is known as OMAD, which stands for 1 meal a day. I know it sounds very overwhelming for someone that's watching this video for the first time, but I guarantee you if you start doing a 20 to 40 hour fast for some time, you'll actually get used to it, and it'll be easier for you to transition over from 20 to 4 over onto an OMAD diet. So for OMAD, it's pretty much 23-hour fast and a 1 hour eating window. You can implement this type of fasting if you're very restricted on calories, and to be honest, many people that do this type of fasting do it for other types of benefits apart from fat loss benefits, which I will get into later in the video. In my opinion, the most sustainable and the most effective out of all 3 of these splits is probably the 20 to 4 hour fasting window, just because it allows your body to step into those fat stores a bit more effectively in the 20 to 4 hour fasting window compared to the 16 to 8 hour one, but it's not as extreme as the OMAD split either. The next type of intermittent fasting that you can do is alternate day fasting, where you fast for a certain number of days of the week and where you eat for a certain number of days of the week as well. This type of split is alright if you're just trying to test what intermittent fasting is like. It's not very effective in terms of fat loss unless you're very aware of what you are eating, because most of the time people think, oh, I fasted yesterday so I can eat whatever I want today, so it doesn't really work that way. What happens is that everything just balances out and you don't lose any weight, or you overeat on the normal days and you actually gain more weight than you first started from. So that's not really an ideal situation that we want to be in. So those are the ways that you can implement intermittent fasting into your daily life. Now let's get into some other crucial health benefits that you may get from intermittent fasting apart from the obvious fat loss one. Studies have shown that once you get past a certain time of fasting, some changes actually start to occur in your body apart from the obvious fat loss one. First of all, your HGH, which stands for human growth hormone, increases. It depends from person to person how much it increases. Regardless, it increases. So what does this mean for you? This means that the ability for you to grow muscle and maintain it becomes much easier and faster. Now, not everyone can build the same amount of muscle during a deficit. It depends on your genetics and your body type as well. If you're skinny, your genetic potential to build muscle in a deficit would decrease substantially. On the other end of the spectrum, if you're a bit of a larger person, your genetic potential to actually build muscle in a deficit increases. But I'm assuming a lot of you guys are on the bigger end of the spectrum, since this is an intermittent fasting video after all. So there's good news for you, you can build muscle in a deficit. Secondly, when you do intermittent fasting, your insulin levels will drop drastically, which means that accessing that stored body fat will be a lot easier. This means that it improves your insulin sensitivity as well. Thirdly, after you go past 20 hours of fasting, you go through a cell repair process called cell autophagy. It pretty much means that your cells eat themselves up because it's useless in your body. Your body doesn't normally do this when it's in a constant state of consumption like you normally do. Once you surpass 20 hours of fasting, your body will get rid of dysfunctional proteins and it will actually renew itself. How awesome is that? And this would show on the outside as well. Your skin would look a lot more clearer as well, and you would look a lot more younger as well. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, so you'd be disappointed if you wanted this to happen overnight. This brings me on to my next point, which is longevity in terms of your life on this earth. Intermittent fasting is shown in studies to have changes in the function of genes in terms of long lifespan and resistance to disease as well. Also, again, these changes don't happen overnight. It takes years for these changes and genes to appear, but it's at least nice to know about it, at least for me. The next benefit that you get from doing this is inflammation reduction. Inflammation is a key driver of many chronic illnesses such as arthritis, etc. So even if you don't have fat to lose, if you have stiff joints or pain in your joints, give intermittent fasting a go and see how you go. Next, you're going to have good heart health if you implement intermittent fasting as well. Studies have shown that the bad cholesterol, which is LDL cholesterol, decreases when you do intermittent fasting, which is a major contributor to heart disease as well. Some studies in rats show that there's a decrease in the risk of cancer as well, but there's yet to be studies conducted on humans to see how it affects us as well. It also shows that intermittent fasting helps brain functioning, brain health as well. The brain hormone BDNF will be increased when you do intermittent fasting, which means that it will create new nerve cells which will protect us from diseases like Alzheimer's disease. This brings me on to my last benefit, which is anti-aging. This ties in with my gene expression point that I made before. But yeah, these changes in genes and these changes in anti-aging take some time to occur. It doesn't happen overnight, so that's a big disclaimer. These just go to show that we practiced intermittent fasting way back in the day in the hunter-gatherer days. We would go hours without food and then go for a hunt and then find some food and then eat a big meal and then go without food for a long period of time again. This just goes to show that the food industry has been lying to us all along. They've got it ingrained into us that breakfast is the most important meal out of the whole day. But obviously now you know that that's not true. All the food companies, especially fast food and cereal companies, would go without business if everyone knew that they'd actually be better off without eating anything in the morning. But see, some people can't get out of these food corporations' grasp because they're too addicted to the refined carbs and the sugar. Sugar is almost in every cereal that you see in the supermarket. And who eats the most cereal out of everyone in the world? That's right, it's kids. So you become addicted to sugar from a very young age, and guess who's going to be diabetic when they grow up? That's right, those kids. And then they will sell medicine when you get sick as well. So they get your money either way and kill you slowly as well in the process. I want this video to reach as many people as possible, so I would appreciate if you guys would smash the like button for me and share with your friends and family. And other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.